Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Before this video starts, I just want to give a shout out to, of course, my wonderful members, Levi OC, Vanilla Beans, The Survivor Sands Viewer Voting, Plush Anime Game Adventures, Jesse HOH, The Battle of Paper Official, Enchanted Stones, and Unknown ETN. Thank you all so much for the extra support. Anyways, back to the video.
And even now blue is always here, and even now blue it shines so clear. I don't need a prayer, even words to say. No matter what I do, I'll never reach your answer. Colors of summer, a field on my heart. You're rolling my dive from my cheeks is the silent love to start. The world's happy, you are stuck. It just feels like a curse that I can't contain. Will the two of us meet again? I wish I told you back then. My hands will be the one to let us talk about this galaxy so fast about me. I know you heard the rumors. You must get over to it right on. If anyone can do it, you gotta get there soon. It's not okay. You got cars to drive, plenty just to fly.
Hello, YouTube. It is I, TDI Fan 2024, and welcome to another movie ranking video. So, if you guys haven't been keeping up to date with my movie account on Instagram, I have been rewatching the past 14 Illumination films for this ranking. And since I recently just watched Despicable Me 4, I've now seen all the Illumination films, and now is the best time for me to rank all 15 films. That's right, Despicable Me 4 is their 15th feature film, which means that this studio has officially made 15 animated films, which is kind of crazy. But now that they're all made, and I've seen them, I've rewatched the past 14, and I've seen Despicable Me 4. Now I'm going to rank all of them from worst to best. Of course, this is all just my personal opinion. You will probably not agree with me for most of these takes, but of course that's what happens with most opinions. I'd love to see you guys' rankings down in the comments down below. Let me know what are your favorite and least favorite Illumination films. And with that out of the way, we might as well get on with this ranking. Let's do this.
Maybe I'm this. A sock.
I think we all knew that this film was going to end up in my last place for this ranking. I mean, most people would consider this to be the worst Illumination film, and rightfully so. Hop takes the number 15 spot. Like, what was this? Illumination, what were you thinking with this movie? I mean, I don't even know what to say. This movie is just horrible. Like, did they try to become like Alvin and the Chipmunks? Probably. I don't even know. But this movie just, I don't even know what to say. This movie is just flat out horrible. And I know this movie probably has some of its fans. Like, I should know. But I can't with this movie. This movie is just, it's hard to take it seriously. And usually you shouldn't take movies seriously. But this one is hard to really not take seriously because it's kind of like it's so bad it's good, but it's actually not good. It's just so bad that it's bad. That's how I would describe this movie. It's not even, I'm done with this movie. I can't even talk about it anymore. It sucks. Clearly, this is the worst Illumination film, in my opinion. And yeah, Hop's last place. I don't really know what to say. This movie was a waste of time. So let's just move on to the next ranking.
King Bob!
14 is, of course, The Minions. This is another movie that I was like, why? Like, what was the point? I mean, of course, I know why they made this movie. Duh, for money. But, like, that's pretty much the only reason why they made this movie, because the story is just so bland. And if you like this movie, well, I guess that's good for you. I just can't see anything in this movie for me that I would even enjoy. This movie is just bland. This entire movie is bland, and I don't even know what to say. I guess the one plus is the animation is pretty damn good, but other than that, it's just like, why would I see a movie an hour and a half of the Minions doing Minion things? Why would I do that? And the worst part was that I remember going to the movies, and instead of choosing Inside Out, we chose Minions. I don't even know what we were thinking at the time, but yeah, this movie is just, it sure is a movie, but it's not a good movie, and that's why it's at number 14 on this list.
There. You're cured. Hallelujah.
Number 13 is The Secret Life of Pets 2. This sequel is just boring. Like, that's the one word that I would best use to describe this movie. I don't even know what to say. This movie is boring, and not only is it boring, it's messy. Like, there's too many subplots. Like, they keep on switching back and forth with their subplots. It's like pick a main plot. And I know this movie technically does have a main plot, but the switching to other plots, and it's not going for me. It's not working for me. The animation's good and all, but typically you'd see good animation for most of Illumination's movies, at least their later films, not like their earlier films. But like, this movie was just a waste of time. I legit went to the theaters to see this movie, and I regret doing that because this movie sucks. Yeah, I said it. This movie sucks. I don't like the Secret Pets franchise in general, and this sequel is just a bland, generic sequel. And I would not see myself rewatching this film anytime soon, at all, even unless if I decide to do another Illumination marathon, then I would have no choice. But this movie is just boring. I was bored throughout the entire film. Yeah, I don't even know what they're thinking of this movie. And apparently a third one's on the way, and I'm not excited. But yeah, 13th place. Next up, we have Illumination's take on The Grinch. Now, this might be shocking because I know this movie does have its fans, but I just don't see it. I also went to the theaters to see this movie, and I saw it pretty early in the morning for some reason. But yeah, this movie just did not do it for me. Jim Carrey's Grinch, which is a controversial film, but I'd say that movie's a lot better than this. And this does not even compare to the original cartoon of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. But this movie was just like the other three movies that I just talked about. This one's bland, generic. The animation's pretty good, but overall, this movie is not good at all, in my opinion. The music's nice, but this is not a movie that I would come back to every Christmas. This is just one that I'd forget because this movie was pretty forgettable. And I don't even know what else to say about this movie. It's pretty bland. Not bad, but just very, very bland and forgettable. And that's why it's at number 12 on this list.
Just ignore what just happened, okay?
Number 11, we have The Secret Life of Pets. Yeah, like I said, I don't really care about this franchise, so I didn't really care about this film. I only saw this once before this marathon, and I just remembered it being very boring and generic in my opinion. And of course, I thought the same things after rewatching it. It's just meh. This movie is just meh. And of course, as most people would say, it's kind of like, well, the movie itself is kind of like Toy Story. There are a lot of similar elements that this movie has that they took from Toy Story, so that's another thing. But other than that, this movie is just mid. The animation's great. I just don't really care about this movie or this franchise at all. So yeah, Secret of Pets, meh. Enough said. And that's why it's at number 11.
Distinguished villains, my name is Gru.
Top 10, and starting the top 10 is the sequel to Minions, Minions: The Rise of Gru. Now, of course, if you follow my movie account on Instagram, and if you saw what I said about this film, I said mostly positive stuff. Like, this film was actually a massive upgrade to the first, which is great, but it's still, you know, your typical Illumination movie. It's not going to be anything that's too special. I will admit, it does feel like they actually tried with this movie, so that's something, I guess. That's some extra points, but it's still a movie that you'd expect for a Minions movie. And yeah, it's just overall okay. And I guess the villains are nice. The animation is really nice, and it's nice to see what Gru was doing when he first met the Minions and stuff. But other than that, it's just an alright film. And I think the only memorable thing to come out from this film was when everyone would go to the theaters in suits, getting ready to see the Minions. And I know that must have been horrible for people who actually wanted to go see the movie. But yeah, that's just things happen. Like, you know, Barbenheimer and stuff like that. But yeah, this movie is just okay. The animation's great. The songs are alright. But other than that, this movie is just okay. And that's why it's at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have Migration, which was their recent film until Despicable Me 4. And we're about to get Despicable Me 4, so hang on tight. Anyways, Migration. This was their last original film that they released. And it's another film that I'd just say is okay. I mean, the animation is really good. Like, they really did try when it came to making this movie look as beautiful as it looks. So I will give them props for that. But the story is another generic story that you mostly see in other films. And in other films, it's mostly handled well in those other films than in this film. The characters are honestly uninteresting. There's not really a special character here that I would say is unique and one that I'd actually say, oh, this is a good character. They're all just pretty generic, and this movie overall is generic. The music's nice, the animation is nice, but that's pretty much it. Nothing really too special about this film, and that's why it's at number 9 on this list.
Look who it is! If it isn't Gruza the Loser!
Number 8, we have the first Despicable Me film, if you're not including the Minions films. But yeah, Despicable Me 4. I did say the first Despicable Me film, but I meant the first Despicable Me film that has showed up on this list. Despicable Me 4 takes the 8th spot. Yes, this is the most recent Illumination film, and as a matter of fact, I just saw this a few hours ago while I'm recording this, so it's fresh on my mind. And what do I think about it? Well, if you want to know my thoughts, I just made a review on it, so you can check that out. But I'll give you a brief description or a brief review on it. Yeah, it's okay. Honestly, it's something that I expected for this film. The trailers didn't really do the film justice for me, or the trailers look like this, or made the film look like it was going to be generic like most other Illumination films. And that's pretty much what I would describe this film. But it's also a fun film for families, and if you're a fan of the series, then you'll most likely enjoy this movie quite a lot. I thought that this is honestly a downgrade to the last 3, which is honestly disappointing. And if they decide to continue this franchise, I hope they put in a little more effort when it comes to the story. The animation's great, but the story for this franchise needs to be handled well, especially since this franchise is already 4 movies in. So yeah, I don't even know what else to say. This movie's alright. It's harmless, and it's, in my opinion, the worst Despicable Me film, and that's why it's at number 8 on this list. But it's still not a bad film, just an alright film.
Look, I'm sorry. I left that life behind me.
Next up is, well, what do you know? Despicable Me 3, the recent installment before the most recent installment. Yeah, this film is another film that honestly was a downgrade to the first 2, in my opinion. Despicable Me 3 is another film that I'd just say is alright. It's a bit more better than the 4th film, but not by much. Both of those films are just alright compared to the first 2. But this one is slightly better, has slightly better villain, slightly better story, even though, just like the 4th film, this one's also got some subplots, which kind of ruins the film for me. And yeah, the animation is great. The humor is alright at best, and the music is also pretty good. But this movie's also not really anything special. It's not as good as the first 2, like I said, but it's another solid installment to this franchise. And yeah, overall, it's just a fine film, also harmless, but not anything great like the first 2. And that's why it's at number 7.
Good morning!
Number 6, we have The Lorax, one of their first films, and it's also one of their better films, in my opinion. When it comes to the Dr. Seuss animated films, this might be a hot take, but the Lorax is my favorite when it comes to their animated films. I prefer this obviously over the Grinch and over Horton Hears a Who. That, like I said, that might be a hot take, but that's just my thoughts. And yeah, this film, after rewatching it again, I have to say I enjoyed this film. This is probably the first Illumination movie on this list, which I'd say is actually good. Like, not okay, but good. An actual good film. And since we're already at our bottom 6, or top 6 I should say, that's pretty sad coming from the studio. But still, at least they have a good film for once, and that's the Lorax. The music is actually good, like way better than the music that you hear and see from Frozen and Wish, in my opinion. And I don't know, that might be a fact, who knows. Anyways, the Lorax is a honestly good film, in my opinion. I thought this movie was pretty good. The cast did great, especially Danny DeVito as the Lorax, and the animation is a bit wonky, but like I said, this is one of their first films, so it's expected. And yeah, this film is just good. It's a pretty good film, and that's why it's at number 6 on this list. One more thing I forgot to mention. The only downside to this film is that they removed or cut one of, or the best song that they ever made for this movie, The Big Rain. I know it would have been a lot dark for a kids film, but still, that was their best film, and sadly they got cut, or that song got cut from the film, which is the only downside, but it still does not ruin the film from being good. Anyways, on to the next film.
And my dream is to one day play video games for a living.
Number 5, top 5, we had Despicable Me 2, the sequel to Despicable Me. Yeah, this is the second film that I thought is actually good, or that I think is actually good, in the Despicable Me franchise. So at least they delivered with this sequel. I can't say the same for the other 2 sequels though, but again, it's just my opinion. This is a very solid sequel, and another film from Illumination that I'd say is good. So yeah, it looks like Illumination started to have a good track record, then it fumbled when they got to the Minions, but we'll discuss about that, so trying to move on. Yeah, this movie is great. Well, not great, it's good. For a sequel, it's good. The villain is good, El Macho. The story is okay, and the music is good. I mean, come on, you got the happy song, even though that gets overplayed as fuck, but whatever. This movie is good, and I don't even know what else to say. It's just a good film. I enjoyed it. That's what's at number 5.
Direction and magnitude. Oh yeah!
Number 4 is their first ever film, Despicable Me, and the one that I would consider to be the best in the Despicable Me franchise. I know others would agree, because others like me, they think that this film is the one where they actually tried. Like, you can tell the people who made this film tried with the story and everything. Sure, the animation's okay, but this is their first film, and usually for every studio, their very first film is going to be the one with the worst animation, so it's understandable. I mean, look at Pixar with Toy Story, and now this one with Despicable Me. But yeah, this movie is actually great. This is the first Illumination film that I would consider to be great. And of course, like, if you've seen the movie, you know why. The story is actually good. The characters here are at their best, honestly. Gru especially. And come on, you can't forget about the lovable Vector. Oh yeah! And yeah, this movie was also touching. Probably the most heartwarming film out of the others in this franchise, which is, of course, a massive plus. And I don't know what to say. This movie is great. It deserves all the praise it gets. And it's definitely one of Illumination's most rewatchable films. So yeah, at least they really went all out with their first film, and that is great. Now, there's just 3 other films that I think is slightly better. So let's get on to them.
All right, enough of that. That's quite enough of that. That's it. Come on. Off the stage, Helga. Go on, you're useless.
Number 3, we have Sing. This also might be a hot take, because I know many people do not like the Sing movies. I'm not one of them. I'm the opposite. I adore the Sing movies. I think these movies are some of the best work that Illumination did, and that's why the first one's in the top 3. I mean, this is a movie where sometimes I'll be like, yeah, it's all right, but most of the time, whenever I see it, I'm like, man, Illumination, they legit did a really good job with this film. Because sure, it's got a lot of poppy music, which turns down a lot of audiences. And I mean, I was cringing when I first saw this film, but I also really enjoyed this movie when I first saw it. If you saw my very first season of Character Elimination, some of my earliest videos of all time on YouTube, I did play some scene music, so you know that I was a fan of this film. The music is honestly really good. The renditions that the cast does, like, of course, like you got Johnny's I'm Still Standing, which is still as good as ever. And yeah, like this movie is honestly a really good film. I enjoy it quite a lot, and it's a solid 9 for me, a solid 9 out of 10. It's a really good film, and that's why it's at number 3 on this list. There are just 2 other films that I think are even better, and we're about to get to them.
I'm beginning to like this guy.
Runner-up in this ranking is Sing 2. Yeah, I don't know how they did it, but Illumination went even more beyond with this sequel, and this is the only sequel so far that I consider to be really, really great. Like, if you saw how I ranked this film on my account, you know that I really liked this film. This movie was a massive upgrade to the first film. The music is even better here, and the renditions that the cast does is even better here as well. This movie is just really great. I know this movie gets hated quite a lot, but I'm one of those enjoyers, one of the very few people who actually enjoyed this film. And as you can see, it's at number 2 on this list. I really liked this film. Every time I rewatch it, I'm like, man, this was a really good movie. So Illumination, kudos to you for making a really good movie. And at the time, like 2022, this would have been number 1. But I think you all already know what the number 1 movie is. So let's get to it.
That is not a commercial. That is cinema.
I mean, come on, this was a no-brainer. The number 1 spot is obviously going to go to the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and it's not even close. I'm a huge Mario fan. I've been playing Mario games since I was a literal child. Ever since we first got the Wii in that one Christmas. I forgot what the year was, but come on. I've been a Mario fan for most of my life, like 90% probably, maybe even more than that or less, I don't know. But yeah, this movie is just great. For Mario fans, it's a spectacle. I mean, come on, what's there to say? This movie is just full on great. It's really great. I don't care what anyone who doesn't like this movie has to say, because this movie is one of the best movies and is the greatest video game adaptation so far. That might be a controversial take, but that's just what I have to say. If you really like this movie just as much as I do, you'll probably agree. You probably know what I'm talking about. This movie is great. I saw this film twice in theaters, 3 times in 1 year. And if you saw my 2023 movie ranking, I ranked it at 3rd place. So this movie is top of tops. I don't even know what I'm saying. It's up at the top. It's one of the greatest movies I've seen, one of the greatest animated films, and Illumination's best film. And of course, this is all just my opinion, but I think I know that most of you would also agree with this take. So yeah, the Mario movie, what's not to like? Sure, the cast, which is the biggest and the most controversial thing about this entire film. But I will admit, Chris Pratt does a pretty decent job as Mario, and everybody else did a pretty decent job as well. I mean, come on, Jack Black is Bowser. You have to admit, he nailed Bowser. And yeah, I don't even know what else to say. This movie is a full-on masterpiece in my eyes, obviously, or to my eyes. I don't even know what else to say. This movie's great. Number 1 Illumination film, and I don't think they'll ever top it unless if the sequel or the second Mario film, whatever it's going to be, that comes out in 2 years. I mean, it's possible. Usually Illumination does pretty well with their sequels, other than the Secret of Pets, but we'll see what's up. We'll see what's up. But yeah, the Mario movie, hands down, is their best Illumination film and takes the number 1 spot, obviously. And that's it. Yeah, this video is a lot shorter than my DreamWorks ranking because this film is not even a third of how many, or I mean, this studio does not even have a third of how many films DreamWorks has. But yeah, 15 films, and as you can see, this studio is a huge hit or miss. Sometimes they actually make a decent to great film. Most of the time, they just make a okay film. But of course, this is all just my opinion. I bet Illumination has a lot of fans, and I'm guessing some of you guys here probably like all of their films, and that's completely fine. Most of these films are just not my cup of tea. But like I said, there were a few films here, as you guys saw, that I actually really enjoyed. So this studio is not all bad, but it's a mixed bag, and I really hope that this studio can make a lot more great films, but we'll see what's up. Anyways, that's it for my Illumination movie ranking. And of course, like I said at the beginning of the video, let me know what your guys' top Illumination films are. If you've seen all 15 films here, how would you rank them? Let me know in the comments. Let's have a great conversation about these films. And the next question is, what's next? What should be the next studio that I should rank their films? Honestly, it might be Blue Sky, because one, Blue Sky's dead, so I can watch all of their films and rank them just like that. That'll probably be next. But then again, I'd like to hear what you guys would like to see. Let me know in the comments what studio, preferably animation studio, that you would like me to watch all their films and rank them. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.